What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode where we're going to take a look at how the IT industry is doing with fixing severe bugs. Spoiler alert. The researchers don't think you're doing a very good job. Well, what do they know? Now, you might be sitting there saying, well, maybe if you spent less time doing YouTube videos and more time fixing bugs, we wouldn't be in this mess. Maybe you're right, but then who's going to be there to show you what you're doing wrong? It's either me or maybe your wife or your husband. I'm trying to save your relationship, so I'm doing two jobs here. Now, you might remember the episode I did about the increasing costs of maintaining open source code security level. In that episode, we looked at what open source organizations like the Linux Foundation are doing to improve the security of open source projects. Yes, they're investing more money, but money isn't everything. Now, in case you missed that episode, the link to that one is above. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what the researchers believe to be the issue and see what we can do to improve the security in our own projects. Now, I hope you'll watch the full episode, but if not, you can now skip directly to my insights at the end of the episode, right from the timeline below. For the rest of you, let's go through the story together and see what we can learn to protect ourselves and others.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch.
A sobering new study published by researchers at NTT Application Security and based on data from some 15 million scans, analyzed internet-facing web applications at customer locations throughout 2021. Last year, organizations took more than 6 months, 193.1 days on average, to fix a critical security vulnerability, or almost the same length of time they took in 2020, which had 194.8 days as average. For the same period, organizations on average also fixed fewer vulnerabilities as a percentage of the overall total. In other words, organizations left more than half, 53% of known critical flaws non-remediated last year. Non-remediated meaning not fixed. NTT's study shows even more abysmal rates for less severe flaws. Organizations, on average, fixed only 36% of high-severity flaws and 33% of medium security bugs in their environments in 2021. Somewhat unsurprisingly, half of all the sites in NTT's study had at least one serious exploitable vulnerability throughout 2021. In some industries, a higher percentage of sites had this sort of an exposure. 59% of sites in the retail industry, which is one of the most targeted sectors, had at least one serious vulnerability throughout 2021. Congratulations, you're doing a great job by wanting to learn about these important key application security metrics. I appreciate your support by watching my episode about it. If you're new to my channel and have not already, please consider subscribing to my channel and smashing the bell to be notified when I upload new episodes where I give you insights into the newest important cybersecurity news stories like this one. With my insights, you can be better prepared to protect your company, your family, and yourself against these and other cyber attacks. So, hit the subscribe button now and let's continue to learn about this story together. Kevin Dunn, president at Pathlock, identifies another issue: the continued growth in vulnerability discoveries in application code. The number of vulnerabilities continues to grow as hackers become more active and more critical systems and sites move to the public web, he says, adding that many companies are struggling to keep up with a backlog of vulnerabilities that need to be resolved. NTT's data also suggests that public and media attention may have influenced vulnerability remediation decisions, at least to some extent last year. Organizations, for instance, took 193.1 days on average to fix critical flaws in 2021, which, though not much better than the 194.8 days in 2020, was still 1.7 days faster. At the same time, time to fix rates for other less severe flaws trended the other way. Organizations on average took longer to fix high, medium, and low severity flaws in 2021 than they did in 2020. Those are the kinds of results that manifest when app security teams focus more on one class of flaws than the others, Jones claims. The data suggests that a decrease in time to fix critical vulnerabilities often correlates to an increase in how long it takes to remediate less severe, albeit still serious vulnerabilities. The most common vulnerability class in web application environments last year included data leakage, insufficient transport layer protection, cross-site scripting, cross-site forgery, content spoofing, and insufficient authorization. The modern threat landscape is in a constant state of flux, and being able to monitor security performance in such an environment highlights the importance of objective measurement. The leveraging of a fully comprehensive security metrics program allows a number of goals to be achieved by organizations, including greater visibility, better decision making, and being able to ensure internal security programs meet industry benchmarks. So what can we learn? Oh, where to start? Well, my finger is itching to be pointed, but it's fighting me about who to point at. No, not developers. Why? No, I don't know any developers that sit around thinking, oh, what shall I do today? Let me blow the day off and go to the beach. Yes, of course, there are developers and CEOs and CTOs, even secretaries, that take a blasé attitude about their work, but I don't know any. Of the hundreds, if not thousands of developers I have had the privilege to work with over my career, none was like this. Most developers are problem solvers, and a problem solver's brain gets infected with said problem until they have a solution. In many cases, mine included, it consumes our being, kind of like venom here. So how do these numbers show up like this? Are devs taking their time fixing bugs? No, it's not that simple. You have a team of, say, 3 to 5 devs. They already have a workload which is already probably way too aggressive to begin with. And now they have to shift to fix a bug that probably happened because they're stretched in their workload in the first place. I need feature X to launch by next week, they hear. Make it happen! Exclamation mark. What does the team do? They see what they can skip to make it happen. Usually, what is skipped is testing, code standards, security, backwards compatibility testing, meetings, dailies, check-ins. Only the actual dev work is focused on to meet such deadlines. Now, how can you expect there not to be a bug? But the issue is even more complicated than that. Today's software is not all coded by the same team. We are so dependent on open source code, it's unreal. This is why I think you should watch the episode on what the open source industry is doing to try and improve the security of their projects. I'll add the link at the end of this episode, of course. Now, the speed at which we have to push out solutions is untenable if we are there and, we're coding all our own frameworks, our own libraries, our own dependencies. It has become whoever gets there first and not who builds the best product. So, of course, we pull things off the shelf and merge it into our project. Why build feature XYZ when someone else already has? The issue is when that feature XYZ has a bug, you have to wait until that team that built it fixes it before you can push out your own fix. The dependencies can run so deep that it's no wonder it takes more than 6 months to push a fix for a critical vulnerability. Just take a look at the Log4 shell vulnerability. It's still being patched. It all seems to boil down to time. Now, one way to fix the issue is to rely less on external frameworks, but that increases your own team's development time. Another way is maybe to support or require that frameworks you implement follow a specific security model, meaning you don't use any framework or library that doesn't follow strict standards for things like unit tests, threat modeling, and they demonstrate a response time that meets your pain threshold when it comes to bug fixes. All of these rely on time, not from your team, but the team developing feature XYZ. It also relies on experience, of course. If a dev has an idea for some cool framework they wants to build, but does not have the experience to implement a good security structure for testing, debugging, threat modeling, then it's bound to have issues in the long run. Many of these things can be automated, many can be implemented after you say you build your MVP, but without it, you're going to run into issues. So, teams need to fight for the time they need to implement these secure solutions and not just the rush to market solutions. With that, I say thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Don't forget to ride. Farewell.